Okay, you ready? I'll call the order of the Sparks City Council meeting of June 8th, 2020 with a roll call, please.
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Council members Abbott,
Here.
Lawson,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Bybee,
Here.
Dare,
Here.
City Attorney Adams,
Here.
City Manager Kurtz.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, Lisa, would you read your letter, please?
I most certainly will. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. Due to the social distancing requirements enacted in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Sparks City Council meetings will be hosted in this virtual setting until further notice. The safety of Sparks residents, employees, and elected officials are important to us, and we appreciate your patience as we journey through this virtual meeting together. The City of Sparks uses Zoom, a third-party app, for its virtual meetings and does not control its technical specifications or requirements. Your ability to participate in public comment during this meeting may be impacted by factors like the type of device you use, the strength of your internet or cellular signal, and the company that provides your internet or cellular service. The City of Sparks is not responsible if you are not able to participate in a meeting through Zoom due to any of these factors. For those watching and listening from home, general public comment will be announced for items 4 and 12.1. If you wish to speak during general public comment, you will need to call in using the phone number or join via the meeting link provided on the City Council agenda. Public comment will not be permitted on social media outlets. All participants will be muted upon entry to the meeting. If you would like to speak during public comment items, press *9 from your telephone or raise your hand on your computer tablet when prompted. You will be called on to speak one at a time by the name or the telephone number you are calling from. Please be listening for the clerk to read off your name or telephone number. No video callers will be admitted to the meeting. When you are called on to speak for public comment, state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name and you will have 3 minutes. Please remember, any comments or questions cannot be addressed or answered by the council if the topics have not been agendized. Any person who disrupts the meeting to the extent that it is disorderly conduct will be removed from the meeting. Thank you again for joining us, and the meeting will now begin.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll move Pledge of Allegiance. Ed, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, Ed. I'll open up the public comment period. Lisa?
So for those of you wishing to speak during public comment, please press *9 on your telephone now or indicate your desire to speak by raising your hand on your computer. And we are going to start with, I do have one that has indicated a desire to speak, and that telephone number is 775-233-8237.
Would you give your name for the record,
Yeah.
please?
My name is Tanya Hayes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
we can.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I'm a longtime resident of Sparks. I teach economics at TMCC, and my husband and I are raising 3 teenagers right here in Sparks. I have been emailing with a couple of you recently, and I thank you for those conversations. I wanted to speak to all of you today as a white ally in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. I think that right now, we need some immediate steps taken in terms of police reform. I have seen the infographic from the Sparks Police Department attempting to address the policies from the 8 Can't Wait campaign. There is definitely still a mismatch though. Specifically, we need to add a duty to intervene in our Sparks Police Department, as well as banning chokeholds. However, these are only band-aids on a criminal justice system that is inherently not working effectively in this country, as evidenced by the overrepresentation of minorities in arrests and imprisonment. I believe that we need less policing and more community resources, such as mental health assistance and other programs that help build our community's safety and wellness. For example, What if when people called 911 for a neighbor well checkup or a suicide threat, we sent out trained mental health professionals instead of armed police officers? Cities around the country are going through very interesting changes with their police forces right now, and we should watch, learn, and move forward along with them. Lastly, I think that we need to add more of a diversity and equity lens to our city as a whole. We need more opportunities for minority groups to be considered and represented, not just when it comes to police issues, but also all other aspects, such as development, parks and recreation, events, marketing, etc. Perhaps we could have a diversity citizen advisory council involved in every aspect of city policy, with representation from different minority groups that live in Sparks, both Black people, Hispanic people, Native people, Muslim people, and everyone else who lives here. In closing, we need to commit to spending not just weeks or months, but years looking at these race and equity issues that we have been ignoring for too long. We are many who want change, and we are willing to help do the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa?
I do not indicate any others desiring to speak. However, I do have, it looks like 4 mailed in public comments or emailed in public comments. So I will address those now.
Okay.
The first public comment is from Eric Blomberg. States, why is the city allowing the construction of more sardine can housing in Sparks, like the disaster on Los Altos Parkway? They are destroying the hillside and its aesthetics. No more building of any housing should be allowed in Sparks, as it is attracting left-wing kooks from California to come here and destroy our state. Thanks, Eric Bluma.
Okay.
It looks like the next public comment is from a Dan Purdy. It says, Daniel Purdy, brother of Thomas Purdy. My brother was murdered 5 years ago in Sparks. Since that time, my sister and myself have begged for you to do your jobs and hold the sheriff and the police accountable for their actions with all that we see going on nowadays. Maybe you'll start to open your eyes and things will start to change. It's sad that a man on the other side of the country had to be murdered by a police officer caught on video for you to wake up. I now ask that you release all body camera footage of all officer-involved shootings immediately and all records that may be requested. It's also a shame that when your own community members are being brutalized by the police, you choose to do nothing as the elected officials. I ask you to stand on the side of the citizens that elected you. Thank you, Daniel Purdy.
Okay.
The next comment is from Dan Purdy. And it says, Dan Purdy, brother of Thomas Purdy, murdered by RPD and WSCO 10/4/2015. Sparks police have killed 6 men, somebody's loved ones, since body cameras became mandatory in 2018. Rolando Brizuela, 07/17/2018. Jose Dominguez, 4/28/2019. Micah Lee, 01/05/2020. Daniel Murillo, 02/05/2020. Abel Lopez, 02/13/2020. And Ronald Zendejas, 05/04/2020. Why is DA Chris Hicks and the local law enforcement agencies hiding body cam footage from the taxpayers and the names of these killer cops? It was disturbing to see the city of Sparks defending SPD's use of force policy. They allow cartoid chokeholds. I know it's hard to imagine from way up there in your imaginary pedestals that someone you love could be killed by police, but I comment today to assure you it can, and because I want the senseless murders of community members by Sparks PD to stop. And then I have one more emailed in public comment, and it is from Anne Marie Grant. Anne Marie Grant, sister of Thomas Purdy, hogtied by Reno PD for 40 minutes, then asphyxiated to death by Washoe County deputies while still hogtied, 10/4/2015. My brother was murdered during a mental health crisis. He was a guest at the Peppermill Casino and experienced a mental health crisis and asked security for help. Reno PD showed up and their idea of providing help was to hogtie a non-combative human being, my brother. We had to fly in from Boston to remove him from life support because he was brain dead. Sparks Police Detective Dorothy Peterson showed up at Renown while my family was in shock and grief to try and question us. She outright lied to my family and said they didn't know what had happened to my brother. That RPD got him to the jail and he was talking crazy, not making any sense, and suddenly stopped breathing. She failed to mention my brother was hogtied, which every single page of the restraint device manual says never use a hog tie on a human being. She failed to mention 4 deputies pig-piled on him while still hog-tied and asphyxiated him to death. She failed to mention how he too, like George Floyd, called out for my father to save him. He begged for an ambulance, pleaded for medical attention, told them he couldn't breathe over and over again. He qualified that statement by letting them know he had previously had major lung surgery. He told them that they were going to kill him. He knew he was going to die. The fear and terror my brother lived through for over 40 minutes keeps me awake at night. To have Sparks Police lie to my family to cover up the actions of their pals in the other agencies is disgusting to say the least. It wasn't until months later when I public records requested the video that we found out the truth, that my brother was asphyxiated to death and left for 10 minutes minimum without CPR. It's comical for U City to believe Reno PD, Sparks PD, and Washoe Sheriffs investigating each other is an independent investigation. It's time for transparency and accountability from law enforcement and elected officials. If you don't want to help, make it mandatory that body cams and killer cops' names are released immediately to the public and these unnecessary killing by cops stop then. I hope the community votes every single one of you out. Take action so another family doesn't have to know the pain my family and so many families in Washoe County know.
Okay. Is there anybody else under public comment?
I do have one more, sir. It looks like MJ Ubando.
Okay.
Please state your name for the record. Your line is open.
Ubando?
I'll give him one more second, sir. There we go.
Hello.
Hello, Ubando.
Hi, my name is MJ Ubando. I'm a resident at Sparks, and I'm also a teacher at Sparks High School. I too would like to comment on the current events going on. Obviously, the protests with George Floyd in Reno have affected our city and our state nationwide, but I want to specifically talk about the investigation with Micaiah Lee. I understand this was something I was not aware of until I listened to the Reno City Council meeting, and that Micaiah Lee was shot in January. I understand, and I have spoken to your council, one of your council members, and now know that that investigation is getting handled by the DA. But according to some reports that I've read, that investigation report was not actually given to the DA and to the RPD until May, which is insane to me. I think that we need to demand and put pressure on the DA to release that information at the very least for Micaiah Lee and his family. And again, as said before from other people more eloquent than me, to demand that our police hold accountable, especially the Sparks PD, considering that this incident happened in Sparks. I yield my time. Thank you.
Thanks, MJ. Is there any other comments?
Yes, sir. Now we do have 2 waiting to speak. The next comment will be from Esmeralda Salas. Please state your name for the record, and you will need to unmute your mic.
Hi, good morning, City Council members, or I guess afternoon. I don't even know what time it is anymore. My name is Esmeralda Salas. I'm a longtime Reno resident and relatively newly Sparks resident. I'm also just
Esmeralda, could you speak up just a little bit, please?
Hi, can you hear me?
And now I can.
Better? Okay. Yeah. So just to make it short, I am also reiterating the same comment previous to mine regarding Micaiah Lee, and also adding to that, defunding Sparks PD and reallocating those services or those resources to services to help our community. Like I said, I've been a longer term Reno resident. However, being in Sparks, I can see there are many services that are not being met for local residents. So again, one other thing that I would like to mention is my disappointment at Sparks City Council. I didn't see any members comment on what is happening in our nation. The Black Lives Matter movement is not specific to bigger cities. It is definitely something that needs to be taken account of and care of, because Black people and people of color are disproportionately targeted by police. So that is something that I'm disappointed City Council and the mayor didn't seem to mention or even acknowledge what is happening. I yield my time.
Thanks, Esmeralda. Lisa?
And the last public comment, it looks like, is from Janet Roman. Janet, your line is open. Please begin speaking and state your name.
Hi, my name is Janet Roman, and I'm calling today as a longtime Sparks resident, community member, and now teacher. Like some of the voices that we heard today, I too want to say that I stand with Black Lives and with defunding the police. I want to remind us that Nevada ranks 50th in education, 50th, and according to the Urban Institute, Nevada ranks 46th in spending per capita for K through 12 education, while we are number 4 in the nation for police spending per capita. When it comes to social programs and housing, we are 50th. This tells us that our communities of color, that our communities in poverty, and our communities in need are not the priority. In Sparks, the city budget for last year allocated 42% of its funds to the police, while allocating only 10% of its funds to community services, again, mirroring this trend that we see in our state. The time to act is now. When our students in our community go hungry, we demand more. When our students in our community become houseless, we demand more. We need to defund the police and hold them accountable for deaths like that of Micaiah Lee. And we need to fund and invest in our education and community services. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Janet. Lisa, is there anybody else on the line?
And that is the last public comment, sir.
Okay, we'll give it a few seconds here. Still none?
I'm not showing any additional public comments.
Okay, I will close the public comment period and bring it back to the council. 5.1, approval of the agenda. Keep in mind that we need to move 9.9 to a special meeting. Looking for a motion, please.
I can make the motion, Ron.
Okay.
I'm going to approve the agenda and moving 9.9 to a special meeting following, I believe, our city council meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second.
Second.
Okay, I heard it from Christopher. We have a motion from Donald Abbott and a second from Christopher Dare. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. 6.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the Sparks City Council meeting for May 26, 2020. Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion.
I move to approve the city council minutes from our last meeting. Sorry, I just lost from the May 26, 2020 Sparks City Council.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
And we have a second from Mr. Anderson. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move to announcements, presentations, recognition items, and items of special interest. 7.1 and 7.2. Neil? You're muted. Neil, you're muted.
Sorry about that, everyone. Got ahead of myself. And now I've gone and clicked the wrong button on my computer, so now I'm not ready. All right, here we go. Okay, item 7.1, we have a vacancy on the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee for a Ward 4 alternate position. This is to fill a partial term running through November 4th of 2022, which is coterminous with the appointing elected official. Applicants must be Sparks residents, preferably over the age of 55, and also preferably residing in Ward 4. We will accept applications for this position through 5 p.m. Friday, June 26. Item 7.2 is a vacancy we have on the Sierra Arts Foundation Board of Trustees. This is for a one-year term ending August 13th of 2021, and applicants must be Sparks residents. We will accept applications for this position through 5 p.m. on Friday, July 17th. To apply for either one of these positions, people need to complete a community services application available at the city clerk's office. You can also do this online by going to our website, www.cityofsparks.us/get-involved. Once you're there, click on volunteering for a Sparks board, commission, or committee, fill out the form and click submit. Thank you, Mayor Smith.
Okay, thank you. Move to 7.3, presentation voluntary pay reduction by elected officials. Mr. Thornley.
Good afternoon, Mayor Smith, members of City Council. I'm Doug Thornley, Assistant City Manager for Internal Services. At the last meeting, towards the end of the last meeting, a number of you expressed interest in voluntarily reducing your pay for fiscal 21. We had a little bit of confusion as to exactly what the process for doing that is. And so just wanted to take a couple minutes today to outline once and for all what that looks like. You'll recall that the city attorney referenced property rights and due process in terms of the pay for elected officials. That is, of course, absolutely correct. And so what that means is that any elected official in the city, the mayor, the city council, the city attorney, the 2 municipal court judges, would have to voluntarily reduce their pay for fiscal 21. And so last Thursday, all of you were provided with a form for you to fill out, declaring whether or not you were interested in doing that, what percentage you would be interested in reducing your pay, if any, and then just asking for a signature that would be co-signed by the Human Resources Director, Mindy Falk. All you have to do is fill it out and return it to Human Resources. So simple as that process is, we wanted to make sure that everybody had a clear understanding of how it would work. And I'm available to answer any questions you might have with respect to reducing pay for elected officials.
Questions or comments?
Hey, yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Lawson.
Doug, are you going to be around tomorrow? Because my copier doesn't work now, and too much working from home, I guess. But I want to get by and fill that form out tomorrow.
Yes, I'll be around tomorrow.
Okay, are there any other comments?
I do.
Ms. Bybee.
I think when we had the discussion last month, it was after discussions with the city manager and looking at what our budget realities are because of COVID-19 and what the city is facing, and looking at, I agree with the city manager in his ask for all employees of the city to take a little so that no one has to take a lot. I think ultimately for me, the reason for looking at a voluntary pay cut and any pay cuts that across the city are happening, for me personally, it's a matter of trying to retain jobs. We want to keep our people employed, and that's a top priority. And right along with that is preserving services to our residents. So we've got to be able to preserve our the services that we offer to our residents, even considering the huge hole in our budget that we're addressing right now. I'm optimistic that the economy will turn around, but where we sit right now, the amount that we've lost is pretty substantial. So that is my reason, and I will be filling out that paperwork and taking a voluntary cut for this fiscal year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other comments?
I have a quick question.
Mr. Abbott.
Is there, definitely I'll say I filled the paperwork out. I already submitted it myself, but hoping things get better in future years, are we able to reverse it with the same paperwork? I think first all of our staff needs to get theirs taken care of first before we look at ourselves, but is there a way to do that?
Yep, you fill out the same form.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on to consent items. Looking for a motion?
I move to approve.
We have a motion from Mr. Dare.
I'll second it, Abbott.
A second from Mr. Abbott. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to general business. 9.1, discussion and possible approval of the mayor's recommendation to the Sparks Parks and Recreation Commission for three-year appointments with terms ending 6/30/23. Neil.
Good afternoon again, Mayor Smith and members of the City Council. For the record, Neil Kircher, City Manager. We have three positions that are coming open on June 30th of this year. They run for 3-year terms, so through June 30th of 2023. We did have a pool of 8 applicants, and I will read their names here in alphabetical order. Terry Frugoli, Mark Harris, Eric Juarez, Jasmine Lozano, Kelly Lucchetti, Megan Meager, Matthew Robinson, and Melanie Short. And with that, I understand that the mayor has selected 3 names. Then he's asking for council approval of those names. And I understand those names to be Terry Frugoli, Melanie Short, and Matthew Robinson.
Yes, that's right.
Is there any questions?
Yeah. Any questions or comments? Mr. Lawson.
I'm going to move to approve the mayor's choices for the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Okay, we have a motion. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Lawson and a second from Ms. Bybee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, 9.2. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's recommendation to the Civil Service Commission for 2 3-year appointments with terms ending 6/30/23. Mr. Cruz.
Good afternoon again, Mayor Smith and members of the council. For the record, Neil Kreutz, your city manager. Similar to the last item, this is for a series of 3-year terms. It's 2 positions on our Civil Service Commission, and we had 3 applicants to fill those 2 positions. Those applicants in alphabetical order were Rita Greggio, Carlson Hawley, and Matthew Robinson. And the mayor is asking the council to appoint Rita Greggio and Carlson Hawley to the Civil Service Commission. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions or comments? Okay, looking for a motion.
Move to approve the mayor's recommendation for the Civil Service Commission.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Lawson. We're looking for a second.
I'll second that.
We have a second from Mr. Dare. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, 9.3. Consideration, discussion, and possible appointment to the Regional Planning and Governing Board for a 3-year term from the following pool of applicants listed in alphabetical order, and I'll let you read those.
Okay.
Mr. Kreutz.
Good afternoon again, Mayor Smith and members of the council. For the record, Neil Kreutz, your city manager. This one is a little bit different. The Regional Planning and Governing Board has 3 appointees to it. All 3 have to be elected officials, so we have a pool of 6, essentially the 6 of you. 3 of you are currently members. Council members Abbott, Bybee, and Lawson are members right now, and it is Council member Bybee's position, which runs out here the end of this month. So it's time to fill that position, and you have the opportunity to do as you please as a group, but it has to be limited to you as elected officials.
Well, that was my appointment, wasn't it, Neil?
This is actually it's not set up as your appointment, Mayor Smith. It's set up as the council makes a choice and fill in the blank and tell us who's going to be the member.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion then.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
A move to appoint Councilmember Charlene Bybee to the Regional Planning Governing Board for a 3-year term, June 30th, 2020 through June 30th, 2023.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second.
I'll second that.
I got a second from Mr. Lawson. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Bybee.
Thank
Motion
you.
passes.
I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not after this week.
They're still coming in emails. I've gotten 5 emails on a hearing we have on Thursday. Just this meeting here.
Yeah. Okay. 9.4. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of construction contract C5670 for the 2020 Portland Cement Concrete Replacement Project. Amber, welcome.
Thank you. Mayor, members of council, I'm Amber Sosa, Transportation Manager for the record. The construction contract before you for your consideration, as the mayor said, is for our 2020 PCC Portland Cement Concrete Replacement Project. Now, this project is a part of our pavement management program, and what this will do will address areas of concrete infrastructure throughout our city that are failing and hindering pedestrian access. I'm going to share my screen for 1 second. Maybe not. Let me try that one more time. I apologize.
We got it. We had it.
Oh, did you? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I looked different on my side. Okay, one more time. I apologize for the delay. There, can we see that again?
Yep, we see it.
Thank you. So as I said, this will address areas of failing concrete infrastructure throughout our city. One of the examples that you see to your left is an area where you can see the sidewalk is heaving, it's creating trip hazards, you can see deterioration of the curb and gutter, as well as the driveway. This is one example that is included in this project. The example that you're seeing to your right is an area that had similar problems, and our public works maintenance crews have already been out there. They've jackhammered out the concrete and they replaced it with a temporary asphalt patch. This project will go back, remove that asphalt, and put in the permanent concrete. Through this process, we used our informal quote process, and we received 5 quotes, with CFL Construction at $92,320 being our low quote. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
Can I actually ask a question real quick, Ron?
Go ahead, Mr. Abbott.
Do you have any locations, Amber, of the spots we have?
I do. So how these projects come about, just to give you a background before I give you specifics, is throughout the year as residents bring these to our attention, or our crews bring this to our attention, we keep a running list and we combine them into this type of project to get better prices and to put it all in one. Included in this project are addresses on Stanford Way, Lincoln Way, 4th Street, 3rd Street, C Street, Greenbrae Drive, Howard Drive, Crater Way, Oasis Park, Deep Creek Drive, Vista Terrace Lane, Belmar Drive, El Rancho Drive, Pradera Street, Cloud Creek Drive, and Eagle Mountain Drive. Those are the ones that are included on this project.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, looking for a motion.
I can go for the motion if you want, Ron.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve a construction contract AC-5670 for the 2020 PCC replacement project with CFL Construction in the amount of $92,320.
Okay, we have a motion, looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
Okay, 9.5. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a claim against the city of Sparks in the amount of $40,875.88 submitted by Lamar Advertising. Brandon, welcome.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Brandon Sendall, Assistant City Attorney. The item here comes from the city's Risk Management Committee and the City Manager's Office. So a little background for everybody watching. City Code authorizes the city manager to settle claims against the city up to $25,000. It also authorizes the appointment of a risk management committee to make recommendations to the city manager. So the city manager's office has implemented the risk committee, which is composed of the city attorney, the city's contracts and risk manager, Dan Marin, and the assistant city manager. This committee receives and reviews the claims made against the city and makes recommendations to the city manager. So the claim here was made by Lamar Advertising based on an incident in May of 2019 when a contract laborer drove a city vehicle into a billboard. It's located at the corner of Glendale and McCarran on the southwest corner. The billboard suffered pretty significant damage. So after that, several months later, Lamar Advertising, who owns the billboard, submitted a claim to the Risk Management Committee seeking reimbursement of the actual replacement cost to repair the damaged billboard. The claim form and all the underlying invoices are in your supporting materials. The Risk Management Committee considered Lamar's claim in March. As part of the committee's review, the committee pulled the contract with Manpower, which is the entity that the contract laborer was working through, just to double check that vehicle-related damage like this is the city's liability. So after checking the contract and evaluating the claim, the committee voted unanimously to send a recommendation to the city manager for ultimate consideration by the city council, since the claim exceeds the city manager's $25,000 authority. I think I misspoke there, to send a recommendation for approval of the claim. So with that, the city manager recommends approval of the claim, and I can answer any questions.
Questions or comments?
Brandon, I had one question. Is how much does our insurance cover that, or is this full payment of $40,000 coming out of our insurance policy for the city?
It would be, I believe it's out of, Dan Marin, correct me if I'm wrong, but it wouldn't come out of the insurance policy because the self-insured retention limits wouldn't be hit. So the payment would come out of the risk fund.
Okay.
Not out of any insurance policy.
Okay, but it's out of the risk fund, not the general fund.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Ron, I have a question.
Mr. Dare.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, once this is done, does this final it out, or is there still civil suit or other things that are coming our way potentially?
I mean, I don't see a viable civil claim as long as we've paid the costs, whatever it costs them to rebuild the billboard. We've made them whole. I don't believe there would be another claim down the road.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, looking for a motion? Mr. Lawson.
Okay. I'm gonna make the motion and get to it real quick. I move to approve the claim submitted by Lamar Advertising in the amount of $40,875.88 for the damage to the billboard located at the southwest corner of Glendale Avenue and McCarran Boulevard.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second.
Make a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
Okay, 9.6, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an addendum to agreement A-3760 for Golden Eagle Regional Park Concession Services. Mr. Martini.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. John Martini, your Assistant City Manager for External Services. Before you today for your consideration, as the mayor said, is an addendum to our concessionaire agreement out at Golden Eagle Park. That agreement dates back to 2009. We have enjoyed a relationship with the entity called SBAL LLC for those concessions. As the council is aware, due to COVID, we closed Golden Eagle Park in mid-March. It's been closed in April, May, and it will remain closed in June. As such, SBAL LLC reached out to Parks and Rec Director Tracy Dominguez seeking some relief from the agreement in that they cannot operate the concessions while the park is closed. I contacted their business manager, and through a series of conversations, we arrived at the addendum that is before you. The addendum really has two chief parts. One is that this agreement, we would agree that SBAL LLC will not have to pay their rent for the months that the park is closed. And secondly, when the park does reopen in any form, the rent will be reduced by 50% for the remainder of the year. The term of this agreement is simply through December 31st, 2020, meaning that on January 1st of 2021, this addendum will have expired and we will simply be back to our lease agreement. For background to the council, that agreement for the concessions is generally a payment of $8,333 a month from SBAL LLC to the city for those concession rights. In the lease, there is other language regarding if certain net proceeds are reached, the city would get a percentage. I checked in. They have never reached that amount, which is in excess of, if I recall, about $1.6 million. They've never done that in any year, so we have not enjoyed an extended royalty. As you can see from your attachments in the staff report, SBAL LLC has signed this addendum. It is acceptable to them, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Okay, questions or comments?
I'll take one real quick.
Okay.
I think it's awesome that we're working with our businesses out there. You know, softball, there's nothing out there. We're hoping obviously for next month, sorry, to try to get some business out there. So good job to staff for, you know, finding a solution so we can work with a small business and keep people employed and keep people happy out there. I know it's a staple in the community out there, even just as a normal neighborhood bar and restaurant to go watch a sports game or something in addition to the sporting events that call it home too. So good job.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank staff too, because once again, with COVID-19 and how it's impacted our businesses, but Golden Eagle is such an asset to the economic vitality of our region. The amount of money, what are we up to? 24 million, 25 per year that it brings into this economy with hotels and teams coming in from all over the country. And so really being able to, and the restaurant is an important piece. And like Councilman Abbott said, locals go there as well. So I think being able to do something for them so that we can make sure we retain them and is important. And I appreciate staff working with our vendor, the concession company out there in order to help them out a little bit. And like I said, I'm very hopeful that we'll be open in June and get things back in order. But I think in the meantime, I appreciate the worker staff to come to a concession with the concession group so that it's a win for both sides. And I'm ready to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Ms. Webby.
Okay, I move to approve the addendum to agreement A3762 for Golden Eagle Regional Park concession services with SBAL LLC.
Okay, I have a motion looking for a second.
I can second that.
Got a second from Mr. Dare. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, John. And you're the next one too. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of resolution 3363, waiving annual fees associated with outdoor dining and encroachment permits during fiscal year 2021. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Again, John Martini, your assistant city manager, before you today, asking for your consideration of a resolution that in effect would waive this year's fees for our outdoor dining permits for the businesses down, particularly on Victorian, well, all on Victorian Square, that make use of our right-of-way during the summer months into the fall for outdoor dining cafes. This is the time of year when staff starts to contact those businesses that have an existing outdoor dining permit and see if they want to renew for this year. As we're just starting that, we thought this was an opportunity for the council to consider waiving this year's fees. If you approve this resolution, you will waive them for fiscal year 21, meaning that this time next year, we'll be looking at charging fees again. The council will recall the fees are based on the square footage of right-of-way that each of the businesses want to obtain for an outdoor cafe. It's about that simple, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Okay, questions or comments? Mr. Deere.
Yeah, I actually just want to, almost like Councilman Abbott said earlier, just thank you for finding ways to walk with our businesses. And I think this is a fantastic approach. Any areas like this, we can come alongside businesses just to show that we're in it with them. And we're going to recover. We'll do it together. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Mr. Abbott?
Yeah, just exactly. I think what I said on the last slide. I'm just working with businesses down here. You know, special event season is going to be a little different this year, and just trying to keep these people, keep the businesses around and open. So, you know, when we get back to some type of normality or whatnot, we're all ready to go and we're supporting each other. And I think it was a good call. Definitely a good call on the staff for looking into this. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Looking for a motion.
I'll take the motion if
Mr. Abbott.
possible. I move to approve resolution 3363 to waive annual fees associated with outdoor dining and encroachment permits for fiscal year 2021.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
9.8, consideration and possible ratification of the city manager's declaration of a state of emergency in the city of Sparks due to a state of civil unrest in the Truckee Meadows on May 30th, 2020. Neil.
Good afternoon again, Mayor Smith and members of the council. For the record, Neil Krucher, city manager. You'll recall that there was a protest and a march that occurred in downtown Reno on Saturday, May 30th. That protest, concluded and a lot of people dispersed, but not everyone. Large contingent of folks after that march was complete, then did march over to Reno Police Department and deface it and do similar things at Reno City Hall, among other areas in downtown Reno. So we had a situation or condition of civil unrest that lasted well past midnight that night. And in coordination with Washoe County and the city of Reno, we each declared an emergency and put a curfew in place until 7 a.m. the following morning, essentially trying to give law enforcement the opportunity to tell people to go home, to be able to order them to go home and help us parse who was doing the damage from who just happened to be in the area. So in as much as time was short, I did declare that state of emergency, and now I'm asking for your ratification. Be happy to try and answer any questions.
Questions or comments? Mr. Dare?
Yes, I'm glad you did. I mean, one of those things that I hear different people talk about how we do this in curfews, and I even appreciate how we're handling curfews here in Sparks as needed and as they go. But it is important that it is known that this is something we are able to do to help protect our community. When people get to that level, it can harm people who should never be harmed and all that. So I can make a motion if you would like, sir. People have thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I move to ratify the city manager's declaration of a state of emergency in the city of Sparks on May 30th, 2020, based on civil unrest in the Truckee Meadows.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second. Mr. Anderson.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, we're going to move 9.9 to another meeting. Chet, can we finish up the rest of this meeting before we go online again?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. Sure.
Okay, we don't have any public hearing and action items unrelated to planning and zoning. We don't have any planning and zoning public hearings and action items. So we'll move to comments from the public. Lisa.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, I'm going to remind the public that if you would like to have a public comment and you're calling in, to press *9 from your telephone. And if you're on your computer, to raise your hand. I also do have one emailed in public comment for item 12. And it looks like we do have a call in public comment also. And that is from 775-225-7332. Your line is open. Please state your name for the record.
Hello. We'll go to the next one and we'll come back to this.
Okay. So the next one is an emailed public comment, and it is emailed in from Andrea Tavner. And it says, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. As the current chairperson for the City of Sparks Parks and Recreation Commission, I would like to personally thank both Commissioners Sexton and Bayer for their dedication to our city as a whole, our Parks and Recreation Department, as well as serving on the commission. It has truly been a pleasure serving with them, and their enthusiasm and insight will most surely be missed. I would also like to publicly acknowledge and thank the incredible leadership and expertise that the City of Sparks and the Parks and Recreation Department has had from the director, Tracy Dominguez. Her unwavering dedication to the city and its residents, plus her entire Parks and Rec team, is truly beyond measure. They have done an outstanding job, and I cannot thank her and her team enough. That success has proven by Ms. Dominguez's true expertise, strength, and endurance for providing effective and trustworthy leadership and outstanding public service. She is truly an asset to our community and our city. I wish them all the best. Sincere gratitude, Andrea Tavner.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, see if we can get that one back on the line.
It does not look like it, sir. It looks like they have disconnected, and I do not show anybody else waiting for public comment.
Okay, we'll wait just a few seconds here. Okay, if there's nobody else online for public comment, I'll close the public comment period and bring it back to the council for comments from the mayor, city council, and city manager. Any comments or questions? Ms. Ivy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to put a request into the city manager to look into the possible formation of a diversity commission. Currently, we had one in 2007 that was, I wasn't here then, but was set aside. And I think given the times we're in right now and where we need to go as a community and as leaders in our community, I would like to look into that possibility and what that would entail. So if you could do that, Neil, I greatly appreciate it.
Will do.
Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, I want to encourage the public to reach out to the Sparks Police Chief. I spoke with him earlier today, and having a conversation about what we're doing in Sparks, the good things we're doing. We're obviously nobody's perfect, so we're not going to be perfect, but we certainly would love to have you come and talk to our police chief or our assistant chiefs and talk about the things that you'd like to see. We think, we're doing a lot of things right. We also know we're probably not as strong in some areas as we should be. But I'll tell you, some of the things we are doing that's pretty amazing is the use of force policy since 2001. The record updates every few years, and the last one being in 2017. The GWIN study has been implemented in part by the police department. And something that our chief has started recently is mental health appointments for our police officers. So we're making some good strides and great strides towards more community-oriented policing, which is what we do anyways. And we think that having that conversation with those police will help out the community to add a little more confidence in what we're doing here.
Thanks, Ed. Mr. Dare.
Yes, it's one of those things, just as we look at what's happening all around, and I would even say that just even conversations that need to continue happening probably should have happened for a long time. As people get hurt, it's important that people have a safe place to be able to have that conversation. And so just even in talking to Chief, and a lot of us you're going to hear from us all different ideas of ways. The end result, if I had a way to put out there and just ask, is to our city managers, just we got to be able to create these safe zones, conversation where and it's one of those things that we say people can come to our city council, and that's good, but I also want to have dialogue. I'd like to talk to people, in my ward or in our city. We can't we can try our best to change our world, change our country, but we know we get to actually make effect in the city of Sparks. And so if we can reach our arms around it and try to, you know, we have families out there that are feeling unsafe. We want to make sure they don't feel unsafe. And that goes for Black Lives Matter to anybody else as we walk forward. We want to make sure we stand and we hear what's happening, and we just want to make sure that that is heard, but not just right now. It's just something that I do believe. If I look at our police, I do like and see what I see our police doing. I do believe they are walking forward. Does it mean they're perfect? No. Does it mean we have more room to grow? Of course. But we want to the best of our ability, say that the city of Sparks is a safe place for your family to be, to grow, to raise your family here, no matter what your background is. So, so my request is, it really comes down to is having those conversations with our community if we could find a way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Darren. Mr. Anderson.
And, along the lines of what Councilwoman Bybee said, I like the idea of a diversity commission, but I do want to make sure that everyone that's out there hearing this message right now knows that there are already lots of opportunities within our city to get involved and be heard. We would love nothing more than a more diverse group in the boards and commissions and all the groups that we have meeting around the city. You can go to those to our website and the boards and commissions, get involved, fill out one of the forms. We'd love to hear from you. So please get involved.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Abbott.
Yeah, and I think I'll echo, I think almost everyone, all you guys today, you know, on Paul's comments about the boards, reach out to any of us for any of these things. If you need a link to volunteer to get on board, we can email you the link directly. That way you go directly to the page. You heard in our earlier meeting or today's meeting, we had 2 openings or 2 boards that had openings. You know, there's other ways to help right now that you can get it, you can apply for. And then I think we all have an open door. You know, we've been getting emails all weekend. I know we've all been replying. You know, we want to have the dialogue. We want to have the conversation. I would also ask anyone that didn't tune in to our chief and Dr. Dupree the other day with Courageous Conversation to check that out. And if you haven't, let us know. We can get you the link. You know, we want to have this open conversation for the benefit of all of us as a whole. We're all in this together, and just want to let you guys know we're here, we're available. So please reach out.
Okay, any other comments? For me, our number one priority in the city of Sparks has been and always will be the safety of everybody that lives in our city. And that means marching forward with the police department that we have, adjusting when we have to. I know that they take sensitivity classes, and they are one of the best policing forces in the country, and I truly believe that. But be sure to know our number one priority is your safety. We'll continue to do that. Okay, any more comments or questions? Lisa, do we hang up and call back on the other one?
Correct. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Kreutz.
No, go ahead and answer your question, Lisa. I just want to get a word in after we're done.
Yeah, so we would adjourn this meeting, sir, and then start or begin the exempt meeting.
Okay, so we'll go to the next login.
And what I would propose is that we take about a 10-minute break, give everybody a chance to stretch their legs. So why don't we start our item 9.9 at, why don't we call it 3:10 p.m.
Okay, see you then. We are adjourned. Thank you.